It's been 13 years since Avatar was last in movie theaters, but did James Cameron learn how to tell a good story along with the incredible advancement of the technology? We're going to answer that right now. My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
And this is our non-spoiler review of Avatar, The Way of Water. That is right. Welcome back to the channel. Clarus.
You threw me off.
We saw Avatar The Way of Water.
You were like, where's the
Change things up.
Wow. Sure. Okay. All right. So you said, did he learn to tell a good story? And you know what? I'm gonna say that the first one was a better story than this one.
I agree.
Yeah.
Avatar The Way of Water is a 3 and a bit hour meander.
3 and a slice.
To set up Avatars 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah. I mean, I think meander is a bit of a strong word because there is good stuff in this movie.
I'm not saying meander negatively. I'm using it literally in that the story literally meanders to a bunch of things that I think are going to be important later, but that none of them are particularly important in this movie.
Yeah. If you're expecting this to be a self-contained movie or feel final in any way, sense, or form, don't go into this looking for that because there's a lot of dangling threads that are left dangling, which honestly, I'm like, oh shit, well, okay, now I gotta watch the other ones because some of them are actually pretty interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not a meander in the sense that like I felt bored. It was it only kind of became a weird at the end of the movie when a bunch of things that were set up throughout the film never came back or were relevant again.
Yeah.
And you're kind of sitting there going, well, why did we go off on that tangent? And I'm like, oh, it's because this is not a movie. This is a TV series now. And it's a 5... But seriously, that's what it feels like.
It's a 5-part series.
This is the most visually impressive thing I've ever seen.
Yes.
It looks unreal.
Yes.
It is so cool. I also just, on its own, don't think it's a very good movie. Like, if you take away the visuals, I don't think there is enough there.
Oh, yeah, I would agree with that. Without the visuals, it's kind of like mid, It's not bad. There's nothing egregious or offensive. There's definitely some plot holes that they skip over. But
there is one scene that I think is offensive.
Oh.
Yes. It's the one, we're going to talk spoilers at the end of the video.
Yeah, if you want to know exactly, if you've seen the movie and you want to know exactly, we will talk about that. We'll give you a warning first, okay?
There is a scene in this movie that I think is egregious to the point of my eyes kind of glazing over and being like, really, dude? Like, really this?
Yeah.
And we'll get to that later. I also think there's we'll get... No, you know what? This isn't a spoiler. There's a lot of weird nudity stuff in this movie.
Yeah, that's all in the trailers.
And... yeah, but like there's a character who is just naked the whole time, and it really bugged me. It didn't bug you as much, but I thought it was super weird.
Yeah, no, it didn't really bother me. I was like, they're all kind of mostly naked, so.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that to talk about the movie is really hard without spoilers because this is a movie that starts about an hour into the movie.
Yeah, there's an hour-long prologue.
And so to talk about the plot of the movie is hard because getting to the plot of the movie involves spoiling what gets them to the plot of the movie. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's kind of a hard movie to talk about in a non-spoiler way. I do think the first hour is the best hour of the movie. And I do think like the last 35 minutes is like really good as well.
Yeah. No, for sure. The middle... was definitely lacking a bit of tempo, I think, is the right way to say that. It was... It sagged. It sagged a little bit in the middle. And, I also don't think that the first Avatar is, like, a perfect movie either.
But it's a lot more narratively concise.
Yes.
And I think that's what this movie ultimately is missing. I want to talk about individual performances really quick here, but before I want to finish that point. Like the first movie was so much about Jake Sully and Neytiri's love and his becoming part of the culture of the Na'vi, whether or not that is an appropriate, whatever. The dancing with the wolves of it all. that storyline really was narratively tied to the arc of the battle between the Na'vi and the Sky People, so that the crescendos and the valleys of that narrative hit at the same time, which meant that our personal connection to our main characters was like tied to the narrative. This movie gets away from that by having a lot of characters have narratives that are not narratively or thematically tied together very well.
Yeah, it is hard to tell who the protagonist is.
But are honestly really strong on their own. I really want to call out, in particular, if I can find his name. There are I'm literally looking at a list of characters in this.
Yeah.
And the second son. Britton
Dalton.
As Loak. I did not know that his name was Loak until this moment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of characters in this movie.
Yes.
I thought that he was really great. He carries a lot of the emotion of the middle chunk of the movie that I think is like the weakest part of the film. And in that part, the stuff that is with him is the best part of it. I think Bailey Bass, who I think we're going to be talking about a lot, is coming up here. I think she's really fantastic as Saraya. Or just Rhea, the daughter of the chief of the Sea People. And I think that their relationship and the narrative surrounding them and the reveals around them is a lot of what is most interesting about this movie and ties back to the Jake Sully-Neytiri relationship. The closest, I wish they had leaned into them being the leads of the movie a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Because when the action gets going, it goes back to Jake Sully and Neytiri after the movie kind of forgets about them a little bit in the middle of the film.
Yeah, they come and go, which is what I mean when I say like it's not really, there's not like a clear protagonist, which is fine. I don't necessarily like need that. It just it emphasizes a bit of the meanderiness when we don't have like a person that we are tracking, you know.
Yeah.
It loses that direction a little bit.
Sigourney Weaver is back from the first film as Kiri, who I thought was Kitty until I read it, but her name's Kiri. But
I definitely thought it was Kitty the whole time.
I thought they were calling her Kitty the entire movie.
Yeah, I definitely thought.
She plays... Is it a spoiler to say who she plays?
What do you mean?
Like, she plays a young girl, Na'vi.
Yeah, that's in the... she's in the trailer.
Okay. I felt like her performance was incredible, and the de-aging on her voice was inconsistent.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I thought she was really good in the movie. I never disliked the choices she made from an acting perspective.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish they had chosen to never de-age her voice, because I felt like the technology de-aging her voice in some scenes made her sound like a child, and in other scenes she sounded like she was 50.
Yeah.
And the character took on a weird quality because of that.
Yes.
On top of also having one of the most, like, set up for the future of the franchise storylines in the movie.
Yeah.
She just also, sometimes she just sounded like Sigourney Weaver now.
Yes, 100%. I agree completely.
Yeah.
Also, like, Zoe Saldana is always incredible and probably will always be. Unfortunately, she's not
underused,
featured heavily in the movie.
I'll say she's criminally underused. I think she's the best performance in the movie.
Yes, she's incredible, and I am just disappointed that we didn't get more of her, to be honest.
A pleasant surprise, in my opinion, was the return of Stephen Lang. We can't talk about how he comes back in the movie. It's answered very quickly.
Yeah, almost immediately.
A character literally like looks into the camera and just tells you what's going on. Don't worry, it's not a mystery. But I thought that he actually brought more layers in this one than the first one.
Agreed.
And I think that I was genuinely like surprised at how layered they allowed him to be. I thought he was just gonna like replay the first movie, and he is the one who has almost the most consistent arc throughout the film.
Yep. Yeah.
In a way that I was very surprised by.
Yeah. He's
still the bad. I'm not like making excuses for him. He's the bad guy of the movie.
Yeah. If you're watching this and you're like, wait, but no, he's the villain. He probably, I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to get into anything that could be construed as spoilers.
And Jack Champion is a new character in the movie who is there to play Tarzan.
Sure.
I want to know. Can you show me?
Yeah. He was great.
His performance was awesome. Yeah.
He was great. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a lot of
clothing.
His without spoiling, his character is kind of overshadowed and doesn't get to be very active in the story.
I agree with that.
So I am very excited to see where this character goes in later movies. But again, it's weird because I'm like, I would like to see more of this person. But there was also so much going on, and like, I don't really know how you would have done it, because first and foremost, I definitely would have condensed this movie a little bit.
Yes.
I do not think it needed to be as long as it was. I think there's definitely a way to trim some fat, but I guess nobody says no to James Cameron. So
there are a couple of scenes in the movie that I think can be lifted out completely,
and it doesn't change the story at all.
Particularly around the brutality of the humans. We'll talk about it in spoilers more, and we'll get into it. My thoughts on it, but the weakness of this movie, in my opinion, comes a lot of the time in when it wants to really like point a lens at how brutal and awful the humans are.
Yeah.
In a way that it, like, the first shot of that sequence tells the story of it, and then it is just more angles of that same brutality to really, like, in case you didn't get it, they're
Humans
the
are
bad guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, no, I got that like 5 minutes ago in the sequence. And there's a couple of times in this movie where I'm like, do you think that people don't understand that they're the bad guys? Like,
yeah.
They're putting children in danger. They're doing like X, Y, and Z.
They're doing bad things.
And then at the like 2-hour mark, the movie is like, hold on, we have to have this extended sequence to make sure you really know the humans are the bad guys. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's what the whole first movie was about. Like, we've already had a 2-hour, 40-minute movie about how these guys are bad. And you're like, so I'm hopeful that Avatar 3, 4, and 5 will allow these characters to be more at odds with each other on a personal level, instead of trying to make this grand statement that's just so obvious that the characters look stupid. Particularly one character is left to look like an idiot. Yeah. Because he's like, what's happening? And you're like, what are you talking? Yeah. Like you've seen it with your eyes.
Yeah. Like the humans are bad, and there's no gray. There's no thought behind it. It's just, it feels a little like mustache twirly villain, like they're pure evil, and that's all that there is to it, which is fine. And if that's the story that you want to tell, it just, when you compare that kind of like almost like basic storytelling to the complex and incredible visuals, it just, it really like makes it fall flat. It really emphasizes that where the thought went into, because it does. It looks beautiful.
And I think that's what's so interesting about the movie is that I did not love it. I don't know that I would watch it again.
Pretty good.
And yet, I highly recommend you go see this on the biggest screen available to you. Yeah. Like, it is that weird thing of, it's almost like the Lion King movie to me, where like, I didn't enjoy the movie very much, but I think that on a technical level, it is so impressive what they did, right? This, I think, is a better movie than that.
Just go watch Zootopia. It's just as good.
Zootopia is not, but okay, but that's a different technological achievement, right?
You want to count the hairs on the freaking animals' heads? Just watch Zootopia. Don't bother with the Lion King.
Sure, but my point isn't about the like quality of the narrative. My point is like Lion King felt like a step forward visually in a way that I just never saw coming. Right. Okay. I sat in that movie going, I'm kind of bored, and yet I don't want to leave because I cannot believe that human beings put this on screen. And that is kind of the same feeling that Avatar 2 gave me, of like pure awe. Yeah. And I almost wonder if I would have liked the movie more if it wasn't so heavy on the visuals. Like, if you put this exact same story in front of me and I wasn't spending scenes like looking at a fish in the corner of the screen and like, the like, problem is there isn't anything in the middle of the screen to like pay attention to. So I sometimes I don't know, but yeah, it's one of those movies where I'm like, I didn't love it. No. But it's a hard recommendation. Like, I think that everyone should see it. I just don't think it's going to make the money that the first Avatar movie made, because I don't think that it's a movie that I will see twice.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that I feel like if I was like working, I could like throw on and just check in every once in a while and like not miss much. You know.
Would you? But like, yeah, if you have a good enough monitor at home.
Yeah, but wow, it's pretty. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're not. I don't want to like be mean to the movie because the movie like.
I don't think we're being mean. I think we've been very honest.
Yeah, I just don't want it to like come across that way. It's just like, yeah, it was just pretty good, you know. And I didn't walk away from it like raving. It was beautiful and it was stunning, but for me, the storytelling is more important personally.
Yeah.
Like I didn't care for Dune because the story kind of sucked, even though it was a beautiful movie. We've had a couple beautiful movies in the past little while that story maybe is second to the visuals, I think. And that's just not my preferred. That's just not my preferred art.
I think that for me, I wish that the story. My problem so much isn't with the story that they came up with. Mm-hmm. It is with the elements of the story that they sacrificed in order to set up future films in a way that, like, I don't know what any of it means. It is different when, like, a Marvel movie has a cameo, because I've come to expect that from the style of storytelling that the Marvel movies are, and also the fact that Marvel is a television show. And like that's a metaphor that everyone has used, but like we all just kind of expect that from Marvel. There's going to be cameos. It's stuff from comics to get people who have read the comics but haven't or have been waiting for movies that, you know, maybe that character is never going to be in a movie, but it's fun to have them pop up for a moment, like you know, Howard the Duck, right? That is fun in that kind of a movie, but when you have that same sort of like one-off scene to go build off world stuff for like another movie, but it is entirely unrelated to the plot of the film that you're watching and you don't know what it is and it's not a reference to anything, it's just sort of like a random new bit of information. Over 2 hours into this movie, there is a bit of information that is dropped that is the most world-changing idea. And it is not relevant to the film.
No, it's not.
In any way. It is like a background thought. And it is such a drastic thing for any story.
Yeah.
That it is like, oh, I guess we're coming back to that later, but we're moving on now.
Yeah, I definitely think that once the other Avatar movies are out, that I will probably get more enjoyment from this one.
And that's the point I'm trying to get to. Thank you.
Yeah. It is a piece that fits into a whole, and the piece by itself is pretty good. You know, it's weird because I don't have any like strong feelings about loving this or hating this or any of that. It didn't really elicit much of an emotional response. Well, except Zoe Saldana. You know, her performance is incredible. But other than that, it was just kind of like, cool.
You know who we haven't talked about before we end the non-spoiler part? Sam Worthington returns as Jake Sully.
Sully.
Yeah.
Jake Sully.
He is in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a spoiler.
No, but like
he's there. He exists.
He's probably the performance I'm most disappointed with, and I don't blame him. I really think that the script hurts his character the most.
Yeah.
In order for the movie to happen.
Yeah.
And I was disappointed in that. I felt like I wanted to see a continuation of the character from the first movie. And instead, I feel like they backpedaled on his character from the first movie in order for this film to
happen.
Let him come back big and strong in a future film.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a bit of a step back. And I agree. I think it was to the movie's detriment. Do I think it's like horrendous? No, it was just kind of, again, it was like, oh, okay.
We'll catch up with them later.
Yeah.
That might feel like a spoiler. I promise it isn't. That spoils nothing. He's in the entire movie.
Yeah.
He's not in the meat. It's weird.
It is.
We need to move on to spoilers.
Yeah.
What would you rate the movie?
I'm going to give the movie 7.5 out of 10. You know, a solid 75%. I think there was some really good stuff in there. The visuals obviously are 11 out of 10. The story is a little bit lackluster. I think personally, they introduced some cool things, but again, it's hard to really count those when I don't have any resolution or know where they're going yet. So this movie might like get bumped up once the other ones have come out, and I get the bigger picture, but for now I'm just kind of like, okay, cool.
I'm gonna give it a 7. I am a little bit less hot on it than you are.
Oh, okay.
I think that 7 could become an 8 or 9 really easily if if the rest of these movies come out and the stuff that's set up in this movie feels like it's, you know what it kind of reminds me of is how I felt about Arcane, where like the ending of Arcane really left me like season 2 could make the end of season 1 work for me, but the end of season 1 didn't work for me on its own.
Right.
That's kind of how I feel about Way of Water right now, where it's not bad. It is a fresh, like I would give it a fresh rating. And I recommend you go see it, but I am just sort of like, I'm like right down the middle on it, and the visuals are some of the most amazing things ever. Yeah,
it is beautiful, but if you're worried about having to take a bathroom break in the middle, it's fine. You can go and come back. You won't miss much.
So if you don't want to save for spoilers, like the video, subscribe to the channel, do those things. And if you do want to save for the spoilers, do that. We're about to do them in 3, 2, 1. Spoiled. Did you leave? Did you see the movie yet? If you haven't seen the movie and you're watching the spoiler section, it won't really matter.
Not really.
So what the?
So the story of this movie is basically the story of the first movie.
Kind of.
Yeah,
but
with kids. Yeah.
The movie starts with Jake Sully. No. The movie starts.
I love that you say Jake very like human, but you say Sully instead of Sully.
Because it's how Natiri pronounces it. I've been saying that for 13
she doesn't
years.
Go Jake. You know what I mean?
Jake Sully. She kind of does.
Okay, fair enough.
They have kids over the course of years.
Yeah.
And then the humans return, which to me, I would have figured it would take decades for humans to come back. But apparently the interplanetary travel is faster than I thought.
Yeah, like I think it's been maybe like 15 years.
Maybe?
Because the oldest brother seems like he is an older teenager.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, actually, he seems more like he's like 18 and the younger brother seems like 15. So, like,
I didn't get 18 from him.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Which is weird because I know all the actors playing those characters are like 20.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I got like 16 and 15.
Sure, yeah. So it's been around 15 years, 16, so somewhere in that
15
ballpark.
Before the humans come back. But then a year passes, and the humans have like completely rebuilt, and it doesn't really seem... What's interesting about this section of the movie is it doesn't seem like the Na'vi pushed back very hard on them returning.
No, they just showed up, and the Na'vi were like, cool.
No, well, there's this giant fire cloud that seems impossibly large.
Yeah, like they take these machines and like basically latch them to the earth and explode and kill all wildlife within the near vicinity.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if they are trying to make the planet habitable for humans, I feel like destroying large swaths of the natural wildlife is counterproductive to that. Well, because we find out that that's what they're doing. They're trying to make Pandora the new Earth because Earth is dying.
So they need to terraform it. But we also find out that they're sucking brain juice from the whales. This is the thing that I was talking about that like changes everything. The brain juice from the toucans, the whales, stops people from aging.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is a crazy concept to just throw out at the end of this movie.
I thought you were talking about Sigourney Weaver Jesus.
Oh, Sigourney Weaver is Jesus. This movie keeps... And like when you were like, there's nothing offensive or egregious about this movie, I'm like, there's a couple of things. Sigourney Weaver's unconscious Na'vi body that is maybe alive was pregnant and had a baby. And there's like a legitimate conversation throughout the film about whether or not someone had impregnated her.
Which is just like very strange to me because like I don't know, because they don't like rule out assault, which I know is weird, but they also
do, because they talk about her having the baby. They talk about her getting pregnant before she goes unconscious.
But how do you know?
Because
did they know that?
The kids are talking about, is his name Noah?
The one human dude.
Norm. They talk about her and Norm going off in their avatars to go do it. So she's clearly old enough that the idea is that she was pregnant when she fell unconscious, I think. Or that it's possible that she was.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just very weird to me.
But the whole, the ongoing conversation about who impregnated, that does not come back in this movie.
No.
Other than it is part of the, like, Kitty, whose name is not Kitty, it's Kiri, is Jesus and
Yeah.
can use her mind to manipulate plants and animals.
Yeah, she is a druid.
She has superpowers.
Yeah.
And
Which is like cool, but again, that's a dangling thread that is kind of introduced but never like explored or resolved really.
it's so that she can kill that one guy with the mushroom
Yeah.
and then also use the
She also
little
saves
squid
her-
people to
Yeah, she saves her mom.
find her mom.
Her mom. She's been adopted by Jake and Neytiri.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but yeah, it doesn't like we don't really know why or how, and we're not supposed to. That's definitely future movie stuff. But
And so when she connects
seems like
to
a big deal.
So there's another tree of
there's like
spirits.
an underwater tree.
So the one that was destroyed in the first movie is not the only one, which is interesting. Every clan has their own tree. And so when she connects to it, she can see Sigourney Weaver is alive. But that becomes complicated because they go to see their dead son at the end of the movie.
Yeah, like I don't think Sigourney Weaver is alive.
But they're keeping her body alive as if she's alive.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was also the only time that you see Avatar nipple or Na'vi nipples, which I thought was very weird when Sigourney Weaver's body's in the tank. I get that she's naked, but it was strange that like that was like the one time that they were allowed to show nipple. But so when the daughter connects to the tree, she sees Sigourney Weaver and they have a conversation, but then it makes her have a seizure, which is what causes them to need to call out the helicopter, even though the helicopter can't do anything, so that the guy can find them because it's been 90 minutes of them just kind of like hanging out in Waterworld.
Yeah, a lot of the plot points were very convenient.
Yes.
The first of those being Jake and Neytiri deciding to leave their people to keep them safe from army dude who's hunting them. But that doesn't really make any sense because unless the army dude knows that they've left,
Yes.
he's still gonna come after his people. And they don't like leave a note and being like, I'm leaving, like it just is assumed, which I think is very strange. I don't think you're actually helping or saving anybody by leaving.
Well, and even if you left a note, he like Cortech or whatever his name is still gonna go to the rocks and question those people.
Exactly.
Like the idea that by leaving he's saving anybody is so weird, and it works out that way for everybody. It's very strange.
Yeah, and it works, and that's.
But it allows the movie after, and because that's the hour mark. Because I kept checking the time because I was like curious when things were happening. That was like the hour around the hour mark.
Yeah.
That allowed the movie to then stop being about anything except to like introduce stuff for about 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And the movie just kind of sits in, let's meet the sea people. And Quaritch, who has kidnapped Spider at that point, is going to like...
Who's his son?
Go through the plot of the first Avatar movie with his people. Yeah.
Basically, Jake and Neytiri and their kids go through the same journey that like Jake did, becoming one of the Na'vi with the people, and they learn the way of water, which is cool. It's beautiful. It introduces some really incredible like wildlife and animals and such.
Visually
and
really cool.
It's there's a lot of really visually stimulating things there, but not a ton of plot except for the kind of like bullshit teenager high school drama, because the son has a crush on the girl and then her brothers like take him into the middle of the ocean to die. They just leave him there
To be murdered.
to
be murdered by a giant shark thing. Like, it was the most egregious, like, they know they're murdering him, and then they're cool afterwards,
Here's
and
the
I'm
thing.
like, you tried to kill a child.
Here's the thing. They don't technically know that they're murdering him, but they do know that there are dangerous killer shark things
They take him
in
to,
those waters.
If you take a kid to shark-infested waters and tell him to make noises that call fish, then you are sending him to die.
Yeah.
But speaking of children in danger, gets kidnapped 3 fucking times. And then, when she's freed the 3rd time, she manages to fall into a literal hole in the ground. Despite the fact that her mom is holding her head, she can't be more than 30 pounds. Like, this 5-year-old is taken into every possible dangerous situation in this movie, and I cannot figure out why. Kitty takes her into the final battle for some reason, and I'm like, why is she there? These people are the most irresponsible older brothers and sisters to a toddler.
Yeah.
This and like I get it. It's like to raise the stakes and like, oh my god, look at how bad this guy is. He's willing to handcuff a literal toddler to the banister. But like,
I mean,
she
I think
shouldn't
she's
be
like
there.
10, but yeah.
The first one is okay, right? Because they don't know they're being hunted.
Yeah.
They're just in the woods. They're in a place they're not supposed to be, but like they can't imagine Stephen Lang. But every time she's in danger after that, you're like, so much so that the character makes a fucking joke in the movie where she's like, I can't believe I've been kidnapped again. And you're like,
We
I can't.
burst out laughing.
You yelled same in the movie theater.
Yeah, it's the same, girl. Same.
And I was like, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Also weird, the scene that I said I was going to talk about, there's like a 10-minute poaching scene where you just watch the humans violently attack a whale.
Yeah, if you didn't think that the humans were the villain, surprise, they're definitely the villain.
And I just, it was one of those weird things where I get that they wanted to get to the brain goo scene so that they could drop the this brain goo can keep humans alive forever scene.
Yes, but they decided to do that by going step by step in painful detail how they like track the whale, and they always do the mom because the mom will swim slow because she doesn't want to leave the baby behind because they're actually probably more intelligent than human beings. They know this, and they don't give a shit, right? And so they like corner it off. They like pierce it with these inflatable things, which slow it down, so they can finally get a kill shot. They put a exploding harpoon through the fucking whale, and then lug it on board just to take some brain juice, and then throw the corpse back into the sea. It was hard to watch, and I get it. I get it. The humans are bad. I understand, but. I didn't want to watch it. Like I was like I got very uncomfortable, which I'm assuming is the point, right? Yeah. I'm assuming that James Cameron put it in there to really like make a statement about us as human beings being fucking terrible, and a lot of the times that we are. You know, I'm not gonna deny that, but I also it took me out of the movie.
Yeah.
Because instead of this plot, I'm just, like, deeply contemplating animal cruelty and, like, just wanting to, like, leave and cry about how bad, like, people are. Because there's so many shitty people out there, and this was, like, humans bad, humans bad, humans bad. And eventually that gets really taxing and really tiring. And you have to be careful that your audience doesn't shut down. Because when you have a story to tell and you lose your audience... it's almost impossible to get them back again, right?
I think that's fair. I think that for me, it's more that it wasn't in relation to any of the characters.
That's true.
Like it didn't feel like it was a narrative choice. It felt like a how-to guide. Like it was even written like a pamphlet. And so because the dialogue around it was so wooden.
Yeah, there was no character driver development.
And so I just felt a little bit like, I felt like James Cameron thought he was saying something unique with that beat, and I was like, no, we know poaching's bad. Like it just felt very obvious, and because of that, and because it just is like not related to anything else, and it leads to the reveal that the brain goo keeps humans alive without aging. But then also like that information doesn't come back. Like all of it just felt like this weird short film about poaching that. Is like the special effects are amazing. Like it looks incredible. Like what they did was great. How they did it was just kind of not. It just didn't have much point to the movie.
Yeah.
And so it just felt like in a movie that's 3 hours and 15 minutes, you could have literally had Stephen Lang's character be like, we need to hunt the thing, and then cut to the shot of all the whales around the thing having been hunted. You cut out the entire sequence, and the movie doesn't change at all. There's no information about any character that we learn. Spider doesn't change in that sequence.
He's just watching it horrified like the rest of the audience.
So there just isn't, there's no reason for it. It's just, and it's something that we talk about in our Wheel of Time book club, where I'm like, I don't like watching cruelty for the sake of cruelty if there's no point behind it. And that was 2 hours into the movie. The humans have already done terrible things. They've harmed children. They've killed animals.
They blew up half the planet. Like
in the scene before that, we see them violently shoot the Iru. Like we've already seen the animal cruelty part of it. We're already appalled by that. And so when they do this protracted, like it goes on forever.
Yeah, they just go really hard. And
like we are about it right now.
Fair enough. Yeah. It's a choice. It's a choice.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there's going to be some people who are like, no, I think this is essential and it worked for me. And I can completely understand where that person would be coming from. You know, art is about saying something. It's just, it took me out of it because there comes a point where I have to shut off from it. Otherwise, I'm going to just go cry for 3 days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I have to harden at some point. The world already sucks bad enough. I have to watch the news and then I have to go watch Avatar and watch this like whale and her like being murdered while its baby is there crying. And I was like,
yeah.
Okay.
While they're specifically like, this is a mom and that's its child and we're going to murder it in front of its child.
And the
you're
child's
like, oh
just
my God,
like
I get
crying.
it.
And I was like, okay, oh my God, okay.
How did you feel about the moment where we reveal that the whales are telepathic?
Telepathic?
Or that the Na'vi are just very good at learning whale very quickly?
Yeah, it's the whale.
The younger brother learns how to speak whale by being like, we're brothers now.
Well, I think he like connects to it.
No, he speaks whale before that.
Remember he's like, I have no idea what you're saying the first time that they meet, right? They kind of half communicate.
Yeah, and then the second scene, they have the conversation. It's not until the third time that they go diving that he connects.
Oh yeah, you're right.
He like learns whale overnight. Maybe Bailey Bass teaches him. Maybe Rhea, she teaches him whale, but like
maybe yeah. Yeah.
There's a point in this movie where like suddenly everyone can speak whale.
Yeah.
And I was shocked by it.
Yeah. Yeah, at first, you're right. I had it backwards in my head. I was like, oh, he connected to it, so they have some kind of, yeah.
I do like the idea that you can download a language by connecting, though. That would be fun.
That would be great. Is that like a Cyberpunk upgrade?
Yes, actually.
I was gonna say.
I think also, one thing I wish that we'd spend more time with in this movie, weirdly, was how Stephen Lang and his commandos became, like, they just kind of are, he just learns how to fly really quick. And like there was a whole thing about respecting the animal and like bonding with it.
Yeah, like Jake Sully has to go through trials and tribulations to be able to understand like the world and the way of life and this like circle of life, right? This mutual respect, like you said.
Yeah.
And our bad guys don't have to do that apparently because they're bad guys. They just.
Which I didn't think about because I was like, oh, he's forcing it, whatever. He's just like, he's willpower forcing the thing to do what he wants until it can escape. Mm-hmm. But then it shows up for him on the rock at the end of the movie after Spider fucking saves him. Even though Spider has watched that man do the worst shit. Like, honestly, I couldn't stand Spider in this movie. The whole time, I was just like, this character, you're just dragging this child around to watch his dad commit war crimes. And and then when I was talking in like the non-spoiler about him being fucking stupid, when he's on the beach and they're like hurting the Na'vi and he's like, I didn't know they were gonna do this. I didn't understand. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You met this guy when he was literally like putting a gun to the head of a fucking 5-year-old. Why are you surprised now that he's not a good person?
I mean, the thing is, the biggest problem I had with Spider, which I did mention in the non-spoiler, is that he has no control over himself in basically the entire movie. He kind of gets captured and is forced to like go along with these people. And yeah, I agree, him like not knowing what was going to happen, that doesn't really make sense. But I think the not knowing and not understanding until it's like right in front of your face are two different things. And I think it was more of the like, I don't understand what's going on and there's nothing I can do about it. Because he has absolutely no autonomy until the end. But for the majority of this movie, he doesn't. And that's really hard for a character that seems to be kind of a main character. Like, he could have not been there, and I don't think that the movie would have changed. Except that his dad would survive at the end.
I would have preferred him saving his dad if he didn't just watch that man murder his brother.
Murder his brother.
You know what I mean? Like,
set the tents on fire, threaten people's lives, kill the animals. Like, his like list of crimes goes on and on and on. I don't really understand why he saved his dad either, but then again...
It's because there's more movies coming.
Well, I guess, yeah. But I've also never been in a situation where I've seen somebody evil dying. No, fuck it. I wouldn't. No, fuck it. I wouldn't.
Because you know the plot, and this is what's going to bug me. The plot of Avatar 3 is going to be Spider trying to keep secret the fact that he saved him. Yeah. Because he can't tell Jake Neytiri and the kids.
Yeah, Neytiri will kill him.
Like, Neytiri already is fine killing him.
Yeah.
He wants to be so accepted by this family, and the problem is I'm like, oh, Spider's going to be a villain. Because they're going to find out that he saved them, and they're going to reject him for it, and that's going to turn him... He's going to become another bad human.
Yeah.
And I was kind of excited to have a human character in this that wasn't a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I just don't see that now, because I'm like, fuck, like, we're going to... Because every other storyline in this movie is the most... Whatever storyline you've seen another movie do before, that's what they do here.
Yeah.
They don't subvert expectations in any way. It is the most paint by numbers, like... The local boys don't want to be friends with him, so they pretend they're going to be friends with him, and they're like, oh, come with us, and they go do something dangerous. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you've seen a movie before, you've seen probably the plot of Avatar 2.
Yeah.
They just took a bunch of them and threw them together.
Yeah.
So I don't have a high hope that they're going to like take him and put him in like a more interesting storyline than now they rejected me because I saved my dad, but I thought I was doing the right thing because I didn't want him to die, and so now I'm going to become a bad guy and help my dad.
Yeah.
In 13 years, when Avatar 3 comes out, a movie where Jake Sully and his family move to the desert and learn how to be desert people and ride desert Ikran. And then that will be the setup for Avatar 4, when they go to a mountain and they meet the lava people and they become lava people and they ride the lava Ikran. And then maybe in Avatar 5, when they go to the moon and they meet the moon Na'vi and they sync up with the moon Ikran, who can travel in space. This is if you connect your braid to this one, you can fly to the moon. If you connect your braid to this one, you can breathe underwater through your hair.
Yeah, that was interesting.
This movie was like, guys, don't worry about it. In the last one, it was like a neural link. Now that braid connection, it connects to all your important organs.
It's wild. Yeah. I don't know. The movie was just kind of like pretty good. I don't know. Yeah. It is weird that I don't really have a lot of strong feelings towards it. Like, normally I'm like, yeah, I love this, or I'm like, there are things that I hate about. There's nothing I hated actually, except that Neytiri was barely in it, because she's great.
I think ultimately where I come down is that I just don't think the movie was very good. And the sheen on top of it of how beautiful it is,
very pretty and reflective,
distracts you.
Yeah.
It's looking at shiny things.
Yeah.
It is the shiniest thing of movies, and that doesn't make it bad. It doesn't. The story never elevates beyond its visuals, and I just that doesn't work for me. I want the story to be good. I want my characters to feel like they're progressing. I just did not like what they did with Jake Sully. I felt like he was just a coward in the weirdest way. And the plot of this movie was that he's going to fight again, like he did in the last one. And he's going to do that next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think this movie makes $1 billion?
No.
I can't imagine. I'm not going to go see it again. It's long.
Yeah.
And there's too much of it that's boring. Yeah. That I don't want to sit through again. Like, if there was a condensed version, I would watch that a second time.
Yeah.
The first hour and the last hour, I cut out the middle.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. That's just kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. James Cameron's a master. He really is. Like, if you haven't seen the movie and you're just watching this, you will not see something as cool to look at as this.
Absolutely.
And I have to reiterate it because I feel like we're being negative, but like it's a weird movie where like it is genuinely the most cool looking thing ever. Mm-hmm. And I just did not find a lot behind it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As soon as you remove the visuals, there's not a lot for the movie to stand on. And I think that you kind of put it perfectly, that it's like, it's shiny and distracting from a bit of like an empty story, if I'm being honest.
For a movie that takes place so much underwater, it's surprising how little there is beneath the surface.
Yeah.
Boom! That's the quote.
Got him.
There's not. Yeah, that's it. It's good. Zoe Saldana is criminally underused. I know I've said it like multiple times, but like, goddamn, she's so good. Also, the weirdest fucking part of this whole movie, Edie Falco.
Who?
Edie Falco plays the general, the new lady general.
Oh.
You know that woman who's in the beginning of the movie and seems like she's going to be really important and then fucking disappears?
What do you mean disappears?
She's not in the last half of the movie.
Well, okay, but none of them are. And I think before we leave, I think that's another like really weird thing is like Jake Sully and all of the water Na'vi go to fight these people because they've like killed like basically members of their family with this connection to the whales, right? They go to kill them and then suddenly disappear.
Yeah, all of the sea people disappear in that fight sequence for some reason.
They're just gone. And it's not like they traveled far. Like the boat was like put onto the rocks and like exploded. It's not like our main group of protagonists got away from the action.
Yeah.
No, the water Na'vi literally just disappear. Yeah. Even though like everybody's still in danger. It was the weirdest thing. I was like, where did everybody go?
Because there's so many of them.
There's so many.
They're all alive at the end.
Yeah.
Because I think the only Na'vi that dies in that fight is their son.
Is Jake's son.
Because they have like the funeral scene and he's the only
the
boat.
only one. Yeah.
And so it seems like everybody's fine.
Yeah.
But they do just disappear.
Yeah, they literally just fucked off.
Like it's like Sully stick together and the sea folk leave.
They're like,
also the whale,
deuces.
the toucan, Palkia, that's a Pokemon. He's in the fight, and then he also disappears until he's needed.
Until he helps
until he saves them.
Get them back to the surface. But yeah.
It's a weird, Yeah,
people just kind of weirdly come and go, disappear and appear as they like need to. And and again, it's that thing where like you can't look too hard. Everything just happens because it happens that way. And the reasoning behind it is very flaky.
And I think that Edie Falco will continue to be a main character in the series, right? And this is where the TV show element of it comes, is that you cast Edie Falco. She's an incredible actress. I've worked with her.
She's fantastic.
She's great.
Yeah.
She weirdly drinks. It really bugged me that when she's in the mech suit, she's drinking with
her. Who are you talking about?
Edie Falco.
Oh, I thought you meant the clan chief wife.
No, not her. I'm talking about the general of the human army.
Oh yeah, she doesn't matter.
But you cast Edie Falco, who is like this incredible talent.
Yeah.
This amazing, like Nurse Jackie.
She was barely there, and she didn't even fucking matter. Like
I've actually worked with her multiple times. She was
irrelevant.
So talented.
Yeah.
And she shows up, and I'm like, oh, Edie Falco's in this. That's gonna be fun. And then she just disappears.
I literally forgot about her. She's just there drinking coffee.
But the coffee scene bugged me so much because so she has the mech suit on, right?
Yeah, and the mech suit is holding the mug.
But the arm. Her arm connects to the mech suit. Mm-hmm. And so in order for the mech suit arm to get the coffee cup to her mouth, her arm would have to pass through her body.
It's also a very big cup of coffee.
And if she just held the cup of coffee in her hand and did this, the mech suit arm would still move. But in order to get the mech suit arm to her face, she has to move her hand through her body. Like that sequence was this is before I hear comments in the YouTube comments, this is the dumbest, most pedantic thing to be upset about. Mm-hmm. But watching the movie, I thought I was losing my mind because she's drinking coffee with the mech arm, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? It's a giant hand. Why would you why not just hold the mug and have the mech arm move? Or better yet, instead of wasting energy, just turn the mech off and drink your coffee.
Yeah.
But she's like, yeah, it's dumb.
Wait a second, Kate Winslet was...
Yeah, she's the yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't know. Yeah, I like literally forgot about that character. She doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And then the other character that I really liked was the Water Na'vi clan chief's wife, who was the healer and she had a lot of personality, and I felt like it was actually interesting as a character as opposed to just being like her sons are kind of like caricatures of like teenage boys. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like she actually felt like her and her husband had like depth there, but then
I just wish they did more.
But then they disappear. That's the problem. Yeah, I don't know. Weird movie. Definitely, you gotta go see it because it is so beautiful. But like, as soon as you take away that shiny sheen, it's...
Oh my god, we didn't talk about how the fact Jermaine Clement is in this movie.
Who's that?
He's the marine biologist. who like flip-flops on whether or not he wants to do his job. That was weird to me.
That was weird, yeah.
I've never seen him without an accent before, and that straight up fucked me up. It fucked me up so hard because I was like, is that Jermaine Clement? And then he started talking, and I was like, I don't think Jermaine Clement doesn't always have a New Zealand accent. And so I didn't think that it was him for multiple scenes because I was like, no. Jermaine Clement why would they have him not do an accent? Why would they have him do an accent for this? Mm-hmm. He's from Earth. Like, it's not like he's like has to be from anywhere.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, that is Jermaine Clement. And they had him do an accent. And it was so distracting. You said
you had never seen him without an accent.
But no, sorry. I'm saying without an accent to say like an American accent.
Oh.
I've never seen him do an American accent is what I'm trying to say.
Gotcha.
And so it actually like legitimately took me out of the movie. That is not on James Cameron. That is purely on me.
Yeah.
I know that some of my nitpicks with this movie are like hyper pedantic, and this is one of them. But when Jermaine Clement spoke without a New Zealand accent, I legitimately went, that something about this isn't right.
Yeah, you're like, is that? Yeah.
Yeah. It was very strange to me.
Yeah.
No, and that is nobody's fault. But
that's fair. I've definitely been in that situation where I'm like watching a movie and I'm like, whoa, what?
Yeah. I feel like we've talked a lot. I feel like we were more negative than positive. And I ultimately feel like, because it's hard to say over and over again, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But like I am as positive about the visuals as I am negative about the story. And that is the most like honest comment I can have about the movie.
Yeah, I didn't hate the story. It's just was kind of lazily put together with a few highlights. And that's
with
it.
Really the best. It is, go see it.
Yeah.
Go see it.
It's worth it for sure.
I think Avatar 3 is going to be really cool.
Yes.
Because they set up a lot of weird shit.
Yeah.
Kitty is Jesus.
Yeah.
Also, people don't have to age anymore. So, like, that's bizarre.
Nice. That's really cool. Thanks.
The crazy thing about that one is I don't see how that's relevant to 3, 4, or 5.
What if Avatar 3 is that Earth is officially kaputs and the entire human race shows up to Pandora?
I mean, they have an inexplicable ability to get things to Pandora.
That's true.
Like, the amount of machinery they've gotten there in the last year since the beginning of the movie is kind of insane.
Well, the movie even comments on it. They're like, we've accomplished more here in the past year than in the previous 30. And I was like...
But also...
Yeah.
So the Tucons are, like, almost impossible to kill. Uh-huh. So how the fuck did they find out about the brain liquid that stops people from aging? Like, I legitimately... What is the process of them getting some of it from a thing that they can't get into? Do you know what I mean? They just kind of are like, yeah, we figured this out. And I'm like, fucking how?
I don't know. Scientists are those kind of people that, like, I feel like are just very thorough. So I feel like one either, like, died and they found a body that they, like, absolutely annihilated and picked apart.
And then in 1 year they realized... It's the timeline that I have a problem with.
I have no idea.
I don't have a problem with them eventually figuring that out. It is the fact that, like, that within a year, it seems that they have... Because they don't talk about it at all in the first
it's not
Avatar. And if that, like, capitalist fuck from the first movie knew about brain juice that stopped you from aging, he would never shut up about it.
A vial? Yeah.
Which was, like, also... But, like, it's also just another thing, like, unobtainium, where you're like, sure.
Yeah.
If he would never have shut up about it. We would have heard about the whole first movie.
Absolutely.
And so it just means that at some point in the last year, this industry has sprung up around this thing that they discovered that's almost impossible to get at, and that they already know what it does, which seems just very convenient.
Well, they found it, they figured out what it does, and they have specific hunting parties for this specific thing already, like, set up. There is a whole industry behind this thing that they've just discovered.
They have the technology, and they've gotten it to Pandora because they didn't build it there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, all of the harpoons and shit. Why do they have harpoons and shit?
So in 1 year, would they have even been able to send any of it back? Like... That gets to my point about, like, the movie doesn't really make any sense. Yeah, you can't think about that too hard because it'll fall apart.
And so if your movie's not going to make sense, I want to really feel invested in the story. And if the movie's not going to make sense and I don't feel invested in the story, then give me a smorgasbord of visuals to enjoy. I guess. And they did that.
They did,
but like the step 1 and step 2, they like jumped over and they just landed really hard on 3.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Like, Jake Sully's plan never makes sense. The brain juice, all of that doesn't make sense. Stephen Lang, the fact that they now can like just like take people and turn them into Navis is like super weird and convenient. And like they I get it. Like you need the franchise to continue, but the whole point of the first movie was that they had to like be connected because they couldn't just use the Navi brains. And then Jake was supposed to be special in that he like had this moment with the tree, and it was almost like a spiritual experience to put him in that body.
Yeah.
And I guess humans then like figured that out.
They like took the memories and made clones and put their memories in the clones somehow.
But if that's what they were doing, like if they already had that technology in the first movie, why weren't they already doing that? And if they didn't already have that technology in the first movie, how did they know to, like, why wouldn't they have copied everyone?
I don't know.
Because in the first movie, before Stephen Lang dies, they had the technology to copy him. But then why don't they have copies of like everybody on that mission? Well, they did, right? They had copies of all the soldiers, but they don't have a copy of the scientists. And that, it's like a weird, like, you're asking me to buy into something that makes the last movie weirder and makes this movie harder to buy into at the same time.
Yeah.
We need to end this. We've gone on for way too long, but I could talk about this movie for like 4 more hours.
Well, yeah, because anyways, go see it. It's beautiful. Make sure you don't forget to suspend your disbelief, because otherwise it'll all fall apart. And enjoy. Have fun.
There's a moment in this movie where I turned to you and I was like, can they breathe underwater? And you're like, I don't know. And I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
They can't, kind of, but they also can.
They can learn to hold their breath longer, which, humans can also do too, so I guess it kind of makes sense.
And then jellyfish can transport oxygen or whatever it is that they breathe
from your back
through their hair.
Through your hair into your lungs.
That fucked me up.
It reminded me of like bladderfish from Subnautica. There's a fish that's like swimming around that you can grab for a boost of oxygen.
Yeah, I think that this movie would have been better with like 3 fewer reveals.
Yeah, maybe a little less and a little more focused.
Like if there were like 3 fewer like convenient things that existed so that other things could happen. Mm-hmm. Like the hair thing, the superpowers, the brain juice, we had memory stick things that we could turn into avatars.
Thing, yeah.
This movie has a lot of magic technology that just they're like, in the next scene this needs to happen, so in this scene we're going to introduce a thing that allows that to happen, that is like a new insane Pandora thing.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
And enjoy. Go see it, like this video, and subscribe to the channel.
This was an hour-long review of this movie.
I did not mean.
We meant to talk for like 15 minutes.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a long movie, so it's
yeah, and we barely scratched the surface.
I know.
Barely. We didn't even talk about the fact that kid died. And then Zoe Saldana's scream like made me cry. She's so good.
Because the kid dying doesn't matter. It's a plot device.
Yeah. But Zoe Saldana's performance is legitimately like incredible.
Yes.
She crushes it.
Absolutely. Agreed. Yeah.
If you like this video, like and subscribe to the channel. If you don't, hit the dislike button. Leave mean comments down below, because the algorithm god is hungry and we must feed her. As always, there is an algorithm goddess of this episode. And that algorithm goddess is... there's so many. Maybe we'll go with all of the Avatar titties. So much Navi titty. If you are a connoisseur of r/side boob, boy, do I have a movie for you.
Yeah. You're gonna love this one. Or if you like tails.
Or if you like Tarzan. If you're one of those women who is like sexually attracted to Tarzan is just in this movie.
Basically, with a mask.
With a mask.
Yeah.
COVID-19 safe Tarzan is in Avatar 2.
Yeah.
Spoilers. If you want to follow us around the internet, you can. I'm at Nerdy Nightly.
I'm at Claris Polaris.
And as always, y'all, do something blue tonight.